Hey, hello, it's JP here, and I'm so happy for you that you got your hands on my book, Emotional Freedom Techniques, or Tapping EFT for Codependency Recovery. So, this will be a quick kind of overview of the book, and then I'm going to do some more videos to get a little deeper into a couple of the sections. Okay, so here's, the intro stuff. Please don't pass this out on the internet. And be careful of seeing a free copy of this on Google from some kind of website in China. I believe there's a virus or something on that. I don't know how to get it off. But yes, I did self-publish this book. And I was trying to look for the year. I think it was 2008 or 2010. It depends. I spent a lot of time editing it. Anyway, let's move on. All right, so the table of contents really kind of educates you on the bird's eye view here. Okay, so the introduction, emotional detoxing, is actually a pretty good little chapter. I like rereading it. And I wanted to talk about the tool, the problem, the solution, and then putting it all together. So I wanted to bring EFT, or tapping, emotional freedom techniques, acupressure for the emotions without the needles, into the world of recovery. And my focus was on codependency recovery. It's also very good for adult children of alcoholics type recovery, for complex trauma or complex PTSD type recovery, domestic violence, child abuse, codependency, anywhere where you're having emotional issues related to other people because of whatever reason. And the solution is recovery, meaning recovery is a lifelong path, and EFT is a tool in your toolbox that you use as you need while you're going down the path. And the problem we want to aim it at to try to fix is our codependency problem. So those are the 4 chapters. The tool EFT is an excellent chapter. Basic EFT 101, energy psychology, basic 101. If you want to learn about it, you can learn all about it in that one chapter. If you already know EFT, you could skip that chapter. Codependency is kind of an optional chapter as well. You might know all about codependency. You might want to read my version. I mean, I didn't really want to repeat what's out there in hundreds of self-help books, so I wanted to put something together. And then as far as recovery, I'm talking about the recovery model that's being used in mental health. And a lot of people with codependency, of course, have depression or have trauma or have PTSD or have anxiety. The recovery model, not to be confused with 12-step recovery. So this is not 12-step codependency recovery book at all. The model of recovery is kind of a model for wellness and healthy living, being mindful to do healthy things and coping things on a regular or daily basis or weekly basis, on purpose. So you don't want to just do tapping, but you want to have a customized lifestyle that includes different components of recovery for best results. And then recovery tapping, wanted to say how I had this brilliant idea, which I thought it was brilliant at the time, to, put EFT together with recovery for codependency. I didn't see anybody else talking about it in the EFT world, and I didn't see anyone in the recovery world talking about tapping. So I thought, well, I got to write the book that I'm looking for myself, or wish I had 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Excuse me. Okay, so then the second part of the book is basically a workbook. I put a lot of work into cleaning up codependency laundry list worksheets. There's 14 of those. I listed over 500 codependency statements to tap on. Also have the EFT diagrams and instructions, which my first version wasn't that great a picture, so I have a better version for you. I will send you an email shortly, soon, in the near future. If not right now, tomorrow, I'm going to set up an email to give you a better EFT diagrams, the shortcut and the long version with the instructions. And then, the codependency statements to tap on, there's so many of them, and I didn't really want to get bogged down in it being so triggering or so negative to, EFT, we do focus on the negative. That's how we clear it up. But there's also the choices method where we tap in, so to speak, new choices, and I wanted to have recovery statements to tap on as well. So there's over 500 of those. That is the bulk of the workbook right there. Can take you several months to work your way through, and it's just a really good little workbook because I give you a place to put the date, put your SUDS number, write any notes, and just literally go down the list and tap on whatever you feel like you need to tap. Take notes, and over time you can see your recovery or your scores and things getting better. It's also kind of an educational thing to see all the traits of codependency. Another thing that I don't mention on here very much is the Codependency Assessment. So I listed, I believe, 123 traits of codependency, so that you could check off all the ones you feel like you have in your life now. And then at the end of the book, I have another one. It's the exact same duplicate, but it's so that you can reassess and compare your scores from today when you start taking an assessment to maybe months or maybe a year or years down the road. So you can really see the difference of the overall. We are going to tackle each and every codependency characteristic and trait that there is, and continually get better and better. All right, then we have some resources and some references at the end, and a little bit about me if you're interested. So right now we're just going to take a look at this real quick. This introduction about emotional detox, I suggest reading this if nothing else, and you can go straight to the workbook. Because we do need to detox after being in so many toxic relationships and being toxic to ourselves even. We need like a detox. So I kind of make a good point on that, I think. And I talk about energy work. And also I mentioned emofree.com. That's where you can find free training and tons of information on emotional freedom techniques by Gary Craig. That's where I learned it. 2002. Of course, a little disclaimer, this is not to diagnose or treat. I do have a master's degree. This is just a book, and I trust you to make decisions on when you need extra help. So see a doctor or therapist or psychiatrist if you need to, of course. Everyone's different, and there's tons of issues people can have. It depends on your age. It depends on so many different factors that there's EFT practitioners, coaches, counselors, mental health services at your county. Please get the right help you need, and the social support, in a social support group or online or something. This book is not meant to be, a one cure-all thing. So here's the codependency assessment I talked about. You basically want to just check the ones you can relate to, put the date, put the SUDS number, 1 to 10, how bad it is, any notes, and then later you can tap on these or come back to this later. It's just an assessment to kind of quickly see what issues you have, the most. So rate that number so you can see which ones, bother you the most. So here's the chapter on EFT itself. It's kind of a little essay about the history of EFT and how to use it. I cite a few books and some publish professional articles in real psych journals. There's more out there nowadays, actually, if you need to look at the science behind it. Some of these links, unfortunately, don't work anymore because of how many years ago I wrote this book. Don't worry about all that. This talks about the energy system and the body, mind, fight or flight, nervous system stuff. Kind of explains a nice overview. It's a good article. It's a good chapter. And it's even got some codependency statements to tap on here from this other website. What was it called? Holistic Harmony. I went there for years and got lots of interesting self-help and kind of new agey stuff. But when he got into EFT, he started writing a lot more about it. And that was the only thing I could find on codependency and EFT at the time, and almost still today. So I thought I'd give him some props for at least addressing codependency with EFT on his site there. Talk a little bit about codependency and also the stuff from, what's his name, David Gruder, doctor from Willingness Works, about kind of the stages we go through, and just kind of explains more stuff. It's good reading if you want, but I like to jump into the tapping. And also I give some tips on dating and having contact with toxic people, or shutting off contact, whether they be relatives or exes or whatever, but just giving you support to let go and stay away from them for a while, maybe 30 days at a time, just so you can focus on yourself and your recovery. And if you can't, then just get support. So anyway, it talks about negative messages we get in our head and things like that. Some good stuff in there. And then I talk about recovery. Again, I talk about the recovery model and the components of that. Talk a little bit about, being aware that there are predators and abusers out there, and sometimes it's interesting to educate yourself on what they know about us, about victims, about people who tend to let people walk over them, which is what codependents do, right? So we need to learn a little bit about these bullies who kind of take advantage of our condition, so that we can change who we hang out with. Anyway, putting it all together, I give you some tips on how to use the book. You might want to go through the laundry list first. There's a series of 14 worksheets there. You can jump right into the codependency statements and start tapping away on that. You can mix that up with the recovery statements and tap on those. Or you can even jump right into the recovery statements and just read them off and tap into, some people say tap into your third eye while you say positive. So it's kind of like the positive energy of that goes into your third eye. But even if you don't tap at all, just saying the recovery affirmations can be quite powerful, empowering, inspirational, etc. All right, so how to tap, EFT basics. You can learn all about it. And that chapter literally teaches you step by step with the diagrams. Again, I'm going to send you a better copy I got professionally done. And then the codependency laundry list, I'll do a video dedicated just for these. We'll talk about these a little bit more detail. Put a lot of work into putting those together to kind of help shake up the whole codependency matrix, so to speak. All right, and then the codependency statements to work on. Again, they are, you can check which ones you feel you can relate to or identify with, any little aspects that come up, put your SUDS number, and then if you tap one or two rounds, you can watch your numbers go down, and then if you're done or not with that. So you could kind of just keep track there. Okay.